That's a fun, catchy tune. Don't you love it when songs with a powerful message get stuck in your head? That one gets stuck in my head all the time. It's a good thing. So I know we mentioned that today's my birthday, so I have to tell you guys something that I started doing a few years ago on my birthday. So as an adult, I have always really lived far away from my parents. Like I went away to college and just never went home. So they live in another state. So when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I would wait by the phone for my mom to call to wish me happy birthday every year on my birthday. And because that's a mandatory thing you have to do when you're a mom, right? So, but then probably about 10 years ago, I started doing something a little different. So I still wait for her call, but now when she calls, before she can say happy birthday, I always pick up the phone and say, thank you for giving birth to me. And she laughs because she thinks I'm silly. And she says, you're welcome, happy birthday. And we have the same conversation every single year. It's adorable. And it sounds like a really little thing, you know, but what it really is me making a conscious effort to shift my thinking. Instead of my birthday being about me and celebrating me and telling me happy birthday, I try to make an effort to be grateful to be alive and grateful for my life. So woohoo, it's a good thing. It's another year. But doing that really changes the way I see things and the way I feel and the kind of day that I have on my birthday. And if you think about it, that is what Centers for Spiritual Living and Science of Mind and New Thought is all about, right? We like to be mindful of our perspective and make just little changes about, that shift our thinking. We like to learn spiritual practices that help us live our best life. The idea is to live a life of harmony, free of troubles, right? Everyone wants that and can have that. In fact, we just read the shortened version of our Declaration of Principles a minute ago, but in the longer original text, Ernest Holmes wrote, let's see, there it is. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. Now, complete freedom from all discord of every nature. Those are some absolute words, aren't they? And that is a big, lofty goal. Well, as Judy mentioned, our topic for today is Bridge Over Troubled Water. And I, of course, immediately thought of the Simon and Garfunkel song as well. And we thought about playing it, but the more I looked at the lyrics, it's a different kind of thing than what we're talking about today. So that's why we didn't play it, in case you're wondering. For our purpose today, Bridge Over Troubled Water is a metaphor for spiritual principle. Okay, troubled water means that discord that we want to be free from. Disharmony, disunity, troubled relationships, illness, dis-ease, lack, all of that. All those things that we're trying to avoid, all that strife and those conditions that we're wanting to change are our troubled waters. So that brings us to the question, what is the bridge over these things for us? From a spiritual perspective, what is the bridge that lifts us up over troubled waters, that elevates our consciousness to a place of harmony, unity, and peace? What is the bridge that keeps us out of the troubled water of discord, conflict, and troubled relationships? Now, to be fair, there are a lot of answers to this, right? There are a lot of spiritual practices that help create this bridge over troubled water. But as you can guess from that song that we did just play, Forgive Again, today we're going to talk about the bridge of forgiveness. Now, Louise Hay wrote a lot about the importance of forgiveness in her book, You Can Heal Your Life. And she referenced the Course in Miracles in there and how it tells us over and over again that forgiveness is the answer to everything. She says, when we're stuck and not flowing freely with life, it usually means we are holding on to a past moment, whether it's regret, sadness, fear, blame, or anger, and on and on. And it does seem to me that as humans, it's our natural inclination to not only hold on to stuff, but let it fester. There's a great Buddhist Zen story that illustrates this that you might have heard. It's about the two monks, and they're traveling together, and they've taken vows never to touch a woman. And they come upon a river with a really strong current, and just as they're about to cross the river, they notice a beautiful young woman trying to cross the river herself, and she asks them to help her. And they look at each other for a moment, and the older monk picks up the woman and carries her across the river. He puts her down on the other side, and she goes on her way, and the younger monk cannot believe this. The two monks continue on their journey in total silence. Hours and hours go by in silence. And finally, out of the blue, the younger man says, "How could you carry that woman? We are not permitted to touch women." And the old monk just stares back at him and says, "I did carry her, but I put her back down by the river hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" Ugh, right? So often we carry not only the hurts that we do to others, but the hurts that others do to us, and hurts that others do that might not have anything to do with us. And carrying all these hurts hurts us. We know that. We know that it's imperative for our own peace and well-being that we release the past and forgive everyone. Forgiveness frees us from our burdens. And what's interesting is when we do the work of forgiveness, and let's not kid ourselves, it's work, right? When we do this individually for ourselves, it ends up impacting everything around us. Because, you know, as the theme for October reminds us, we are all cosmically connected in the one mind of spirit. When we each resolve to do the inner work of forgiveness, we lift the collective consciousness of our spiritual family, our local community, our country, and really the entire planet. That's how powerful we are. Now, I know Dr. Bob and I have both mentioned this before, that even though these talk titles and themes are decided on and selected over a year earlier, they always seem perfectly chosen for exactly the current events that we're dealing with and experiencing. It just never fails. Now, in the suggested talking points for this week's topic, it actually said, consider if there is any situation in the world right now that could use a little bit more love, compassion, and forgiveness. Now, I don't know about you, but I can think of a big one that's coming up in a couple weeks. How did they know that right now we would be experiencing some of the most contentious, divisive times in our country's history? I don't know how they knew it, but I'm glad that they seem to know that collectively, as a spiritual community and as a nation, we need to focus on forgiveness. Back in January, before any COVID hit the US, I wrote a blog post about this called "I Forgive You, America." And I wrote it during the impeachment trial because I was feeling very exhausted from all of the divisiveness. And it's like, wasn't I cute that I thought it was really bad back then? that was before a lot of stuff happened. And I couldn't help it though, because the mom in me or the minister in me just kept wondering things like, how are we going to move on from this? When do we forgive each other and heal as a country? When do we forgive ourselves for judging each other? Now, with everything else that has gone on in the country since, in the last 9 months, I'm wondering these things even more. It's like when the siblings are all fighting and just going at it, and the mom has to step in and say, okay, enough. It's time to apologize, hug it out, and forgive each other, because we have to move on as a family. And looking toward, the upcoming election, I just keep thinking, we're all the same family. Our family deserves to live in peace. It's our family's divine birthright to live in peace. I watched a YouTube video yesterday that was done by a psychic medium, and it was very clever. Excuse me. She made this bold announcement that she had never made a political prediction before, but she was being guided to predict the winner of the US election. And she was certain about it. She said, she was very dramatic, and she said, this is who will win. The winner of the US election is you. If on the morning after the election, when the announcement is made, you maintain a state of peace. And I loved that. It's so true. The winner of the election doesn't actually matter in the bigger picture of your own peace. So with that in mind, I would like for us as a spiritual community to take the upcoming presidential election into a forgiveness practice. Now, obviously, this is not about sides or politics. We don't tell you how to think or vote, and we never will. This is about the spiritual practice of forgiveness and the spiritual principles of peace, harmony, and unity. If you have an other, someone in your mind who you perceive as being against you, who you think of as being different from you, who you believe is a problem for you. If you have, excuse me. If you have someone or something to forgive with regard to this election, only you can know that. Just bring that to your mind right now. Now, the method we're going to use is difficult to pronounce, so forgive me for butchering it. We're going to do the ancient Hawaiian practice of reconciliation and forgiveness called Ho'oponopono. If you're not familiar with it, it's been around for thousands of years, and it is so aligned with the teachings of New Thought and science of mind. It's based on the idea that the problems of the world really arose when people started thinking that instead of one power, there was two, good and evil. The idea of duality. So doesn't this sound familiar already? It's that step away from unity towards separation that is really the root of our problems, according to Ho'oponopono. Doing this practice is a way to get back to unity, inner peace, and the return to harmony. Now, another thing to note about Ho'oponopono that I really love is you don't have to know or understand how it works, because something inside you does know. You just have to believe that it works. It's done unto us as we believe. I feel like we've heard this before, right? So we practice this as an observer, and we say these 4 short sentences together as a mantra. So let me show you what they are. Okay. So the first line is, I'm sorry. Now this could mean a lot of things. It could mean, I'm sorry for holding on to this and for carrying the memory of this situation. I'm sorry for allowing this situation into my consciousness in the first place. We know that the outside world is a mirror and reflects back to us what is within us. If we're seeing divisiveness and chaos, we may have those qualities somewhere within us, and we may not realize it. So I'm sorry is a loosening and a freeing of that. You know, it's like saying, I might have some responsibility here. I don't really understand. It's like saying to Spirit, I don't know where this is within me, but you know, and I'm sorry. The next line is, please forgive me. Now, believe it or not, it doesn't really matter who you're saying this to in your mind, whether it's a person or a group of people or to God, Spirit, Universe, Source. You know, in my mind, I sometimes think of my other who I believe is against me, and I think, please forgive me for judging you. Please forgive me for not seeing us as united in the one mind of Spirit, as being one and the same. Please forgive me for ignoring the truth of our unity. Or to Spirit, please forgive me for judging this entire situation. Then the third line is thank you, which obviously is similar to the gratitude step when we do a spiritual mind treatment, where we are grateful that our word is spoken and it is already done. This can be, thank you, Spirit, that a miracle is underway here. Thank you that this situation is being transformed in my mind and in the one mind. Thank you that I'm freed from the burden of this situation. Thank you for the peace I am now experiencing. And then the last line is, I love you. Now, this is where we really do see the divine in ourself and the divine in the, quote, other. I think Bob last week, didn't he say the other is really just the infinite with skin on it? I loved that. By saying I love you, it shifts your focus to love. Loving not only yourself, but your other. Loving Spirit. Loving the lesson in the situation. I love you can mean I love that this situation has opened my eyes. You could direct your I love you to yourself for attempting this forgiveness practice. So the beauty of Ho'oponopono is just saying the words matters. Remember, you don't have to know how it works. You just have to trust and believe that it does. If we were all together in a room right now, you know, we could chant the lines out loud and it would feel very powerful, I promise. Now, you just can't do that because it never works on Zoom. Everybody's audio is a little bit different. And obviously our friends on Facebook, we wouldn't be able to hear them either. But so instead, we're going to do it a little bit differently. Vance is going to play a song version of Ho'oponopono by Bob Sema. So we're going to listen to it, sing along with it if you want. We know the power of speaking our words out loud. By the way, Bob Sema is an amazing New Thought artist. So if you've never heard of him, check him out online. I highly recommend. Okay, so right now, just call to mind whatever you need to in this situation as you focus on the statements they're singing and what they might mean for you.
I
was so beautiful. And my favorite thing about that is, if you noticed in the beginning, they started out back to back, opposing each other. And then through the course of it, they turned and they were facing each other. It was really neat. So it truly is my hope that this was a meaningful tool for you today in your forgiveness work, no matter what troubled water you might experience. Now, I do feel like I barely scratched the surface of Ho'oponopono. And I want to make sure to tell you that there are so many books and meditations and recordings out there that you can check out and download. And I hope that you will join me in honoring forgiveness as a really powerful spiritual practice that leads us to the truth of our peace, our harmony, and our unity. It truly is our bridge over troubled water. Amen. And so it is.